Hello and welcome. I'm DW Hits with Fedowar Press. I'm here today with Michael D. Nadeau, and we are here to talk about his work as an author and his books. Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about you as an author.
I am an author of speculative fiction. I like to write epic fantasy, some horror, smatterings of this and that, but I will write anything. If anybody says, hey, we're looking for this, I will give it a shot. But mainly, I do like fantasy.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm a similar way. I love dipping my toe in the waters of other genres and just kind of seeing where it goes. So, you have two stories and books with Fedowar. One is in Remnants here, and as well, I'll let everybody know the Michael's information is in the details below, as well as his contact information. And we also have links to both of the books that he has stories in with Fedowar. So, tell us about your story with Remnants and kind of what inspired that, and give us kind of an overview of that story.
Well, the Remnants was really special because when it came out and I heard that it was a shared world and that we were all going to be writing in this world with the same details, it was immersive. So I looked at different things that the creator, Stephen, had come up with, and one of them caught my eye, and it was the fact that ghosts were helping people. Even though they had died, they were still trying to help the remnants of the living. And so that's what I wanted to focus on, because I didn't think anybody else would really go there, especially when you have monsters and survival. No one would really do the dead yet. So that's what I wanted to do first off. The other side is basically a story about someone on the other side in Africa trying to get all the way back to her home, ironically in Goffstown, New Hampshire. So yeah, it was a fun story to write. I had a lot of research about the surrounding areas because I don't do real world stories awful. I like fantasy. I like making stuff up, but I really had to look at stuff and how it works, and it was fun.
Very cool, and it's a great story. I really enjoyed it, and I think you're right. Like, there's when you have all these monsters around, people tend to lean in a little bit towards the monsters, and there's not as much talk of the spiritual in there. But it's a nice twist to that world. So then we also had for the Fedowar Holiday Horrors, you wrote a story here as well, the Time to Waste. So give us a little bit of a idea about the inspiration for that, and a little bit about what that story is about.
Well, I also like to write some science fiction, and time travel has always fascinated me as a writer because it's hard to do. But like everybody's always speculated, if time travel was already invented, then we would know already, unless it's screwed up horribly. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to give big events in history and show how they were changed. They weren't originally like the way we did. And I wanted to have our protagonist actually oops and change a lot of the stuff. Like the Titanic. It wasn't supposed to sink. There was another ship that was supposed to sink. She saved that one, and instead the Titanic sank. And that's how we know history, because someone changed it. I had fun.
It is. It's a fun story. No, I really enjoyed that. So tell us, what are you working on right now?
Oh boy! So right now, my publisher is editing the final book in my trilogy. The Darkness Falls should be out this summer. It's the epic conclusion to a epic fantasy little adventure, and I am overjoyed that this is finally coming out. I've got a lot of my friends that have been waiting for years to see the end of this saga, and I just had so much fun writing it, and my publisher loves it, and he's going to go through and he's going to edit it, and we're going to put that out. At the same time, I'm also working on a collection of short stories for something else. An elf called September. He has an imp for a parrot, and he runs a pirate ship full of orcs. And they're cursed. And they keep going through different worlds every time they set sail. A magical storm takes them somewhere else. So I've done short stories over the years with my old publisher, Kyanite, and I'm finally putting them all together into one collection.
Mm-hmm.
But the hook is I'm actually putting that in my Darkness Returns world. So one of the characters is going to be reading that to characters in that world, and it's going to be a world within a world. They're going to find out, which is nice. Fun stuff to try to work everything together.
Very nice, and that's interesting premise too, because you can do so much with characters moving from world to world like that.
Yes, you can come up with your rules and your laws that you want to change, and it's just fantastic.
Mm.
And the worst part is I put the stories out of sequence on purpose. So if you've ever watched Star Wars, and who hasn't, when the prequels came out, don't judge. There's one point where Obi-Wan Kenobi looks at Anakin and says, "You'll be the death of me yet." And the audience laughed because we knew ahead of time. And that's how I wanted these stories to go. So as you read these, they're going to premise certain stories. And you haven't read them yet. When you read them, you're going to be like, hey, I know what's going on. So it's just a little bit of, I put them out of order so you can read about them. And when you get there, you're just going to be like, hey, okay, I know what's going on. And kind of like you'll know more than the characters do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's a fantastic twist, and you give the reader a little bit of extra thought experiment to work on, a little bit of foreshadowing here or there that they get to work out for themselves.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and I love that idea of the reader having to do a little bit of work themselves.
Yep. Yeah, for anybody that wants to take notes, let me tell you, you will not be disappointed. Now, continuity is one of those big things with me. I've read books in the past where you get to some point and you're like, but they didn't say that in book one. So I'm trying to be meticulous. I may have oopsed, but here and there. But in the whole, if you wanted to look back and go, oh my God, it all connects. It's going to on purpose.
Well, that's a tricky part about writing a series too, is that once you get through, more than a couple of books, you've started to build up a canon, and keeping all that canon straight in your head can be a little tricky.
Yes, thank God I like taking notes.
See, I'm terrible at that. What I end up doing is searching documents and saying, did I say anything about this?
I've done that too. Like, did I forget to write a note about this? I actually had one of the biggest screw ups. I'd already printed the books, and I realized I had changed something. And in my first book, you meet street kids, and this little girl called Sprout says that her parents were taken in the night by bad men. She tells the king this. And then in book 2, somebody asks her about her parents, and I don't know how I forgot this, but I told the readers that she died in a fire. Oh yeah, my parents died in a fire. Publish. And then like a month later, I'm like, oh my God, how did I do that? So I fixed it. In book 3, somebody asks her again, and she gives a different answer. And the reason she does this is she doesn't know how her parents disappeared. She's young enough. She's 8. So she's embarrassed because she thinks she lost them. Like you lose a penny or you lose your favorite toy. She thinks she lost her parents, and she doesn't want people to know that. So she makes up stories on how they were taken, so it's not her fault.
It's one of those fantastic, coincidentally accident character quirks that you get to work in there.
Yeah, I screwed up, so I had to fix it, and it came out to be one of the best hooks for that character that I ever could have come up with. I mean, she's 8, so I love writing her to begin with, but yeah.
Definitely, writing kids is a lot of fun. And you get to, and of course, people are going to ask a kid, where are your parents? Why aren't they here? So you get to keep implementing that. Make it a little.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, what exciting things do you see in your future? What's coming up for you?
Well, once I've edited the last book and it's done and it's gone to press, and then I finished the September stuff, I actually have another trilogy I'm working on in that world of Lythinall. It's a land of Seer. It's just a nation next door type of thing. But those next 3 books are going to set up that whole nation. And once those are done, I have another 3 I'm writing 10 years after the Darkness Saga, where those street kids that you meet are all older and are now adventuring on their own.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
and it's going to connect it all at the end. And oh yeah, I have a lot
That's
planned.
fantastic. Yeah, I love books with deep lore. That's pretty cool that you have such awesome story events already planned out.
Oh yeah, in fact, I have a short story collection for Lythinall that I released before book 3 because it gives hints and backstories and exposition on people you see in 3. So once again, when you read book 3, I know this guy. I read him in that short story. You don't have to meet him right then like everybody else would. You could read ahead of it if you want to do the short story book, which I also have a short story about Sprout in that. Because one of the mysteries is somebody thanks the other children for looking out for the youngest. She's 8. And in all seriousness, they looked at the guy and went, no, you don't understand. She found all of us. And that was years ago. So how did a 4 or 5-year-old save all these other kids? And you actually get that story in my collection.
Oh,
on how she got onto the streets.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's definitely something for our watchers to look forward to. So tell me about your other works that you have out there and other things that our audience can find.
I actually have a free ebook everywhere. Even on Amazon, it's free without Kindle Unlimited. It was done in 2020 for everybody stuck inside with the pandemic. I wanted it free for everybody, anywhere, so that you had something to do, you know what I mean, during the pandemic. You could read it over and over again if you wanted. It has a map and everything. It's fun. And the best part about that one is in the back of that book, there's a link to my newsletter, which if you sign up for my newsletter, you get book 2 for free. Book 2 is currently on Amazon for 99 cents.
Okay.
So yeah, you get the 2 books for free if you just sign up for my newsletter. Hint, you can unsubscribe after you get the second book. I mean, don't, but you can. It's not like you're locked in forever. And I have another short story through an app called Redict. It's called Dark Hearts. It's actually erotic fantasy. Not safe for work. Kids 18 and over, please. And that one's got 1,400 people that have already read it and 200 people that have saved it. It's free with ads on the little app called Redict. And, it was a little side project that I had fun with. Yeah. I've got some other stuff in the works for right now that ideas and whatnots. I have a twist on the Alice in Wonderland type books. Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Wizard of Oz. All of that's going to tie in to a trilogy. But that's currently literally just like notes on the wall type of.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. And as I mentioned when I had the other Remnants authors around previously, we are planning to open up submissions again for Remnants Part 2 later this year. So we'll all hope that you can do a little bit of something for that. I know you got a lot coming up, but we'll see where that goes when it happens. So yeah. Everybody out there who's also interested in taking parts in the Remnants storyline, keep an eye out on the website for that announcement. And like I said, probably in the fall, something like that. We'll get that information up there and open it up. All right. Well, like I mentioned before, all of Michael's information is in the description down below, including links to his social media. And I believe your link to your Amazon author account is there as well. So people can go there and see all the stuff that you have on Amazon. So what's the best way out of all those for the readers or other authors to get in touch with you?
Twitter or Facebook. If you put in the @ Lythinall series in Facebook, the Land of Darkness trilogy should come up as a page. You can like the page. Updates are put on there regularly. Twitter, I've got a link tree in my bio to all that stuff as well. Link tree's awesome, by the way. Fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Well, thank you for joining us today and telling us about your work and where you're going with everything.
You don't have to twist my arm to talk about my stories, honest to God.
Well, that's awesome. We'll have to do it again soon then.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. And thank you everybody out there for watching, and have a great weekend.